Good evening, folks. It's Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, the curse of the Yonkers Public School Superintendents. Join me. Good evening, folks. It's Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, Yonkers Public School Superintendent's curse. Is there a curse? Good evening, folks. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. How you doing, folks? Good evening. Happy Thursday. I wanted to discuss today. I've been talking a lot about education, and education is very important to me. And I have an educational center, so I wanted to talk about superintendents. Right? Dr. Edwin Quesada is the current superintendent of the Yonkers Public Schools, and he has come up a lot recently. I have spoken about him in good ways. I said good things about him, but he has been attacked on some of those news blogs that I also have been attacked on, but it's no surprise there. But for the most part, the current superintendent, I feel, is doing the best job he can do because the Yonkers Public Schools is in total control of the city and the administration, and I'll get into that in a minute. So I want to first go into this article here. In the 15 years prior, and this article is from 2020. Oh, is that the right? Yeah. In the 15 years prior to his appointment, prior to Dr. Quesada's appointment, 5 men held Yonkers' top job, and all of them left under unpleasant or unclear terms. So that's, strange. So what's going on here? Is there a curse? And I want to go over them, starting with this guy, Andre Hornsby. Andre Hornsby was the first Black superintendent. He became superintendent in 1998. The first Black superintendent, right? And so I want to read a little bit of this New York Times article. Inserting more tumult into a long troubled school district, the Yonkers School Board fired the school superintendent Friday night after he battled the mayor's attempt to get the city out from under a court order desegregate its schools. And now I'm not sure if some of you, I'm sure many may remember, but some of you may be too young. Back in 1988, there was the whole desegregation case in the Yonkers Public School here in the city. That's what they did, or they based the show Show Me a Hero on. That was on HBO. Not sure if some of you may have seen it. It was pretty good. And so the Yonkers Public School was still under this federal order, this court order to desegregate schools. They were still being investigated. They still had federal oversight. And so this is in 98, right? So it still was going on 10 years later. The sudden firing stunned city politicians and residents despite weeks of escalating friction between the superintendent, Andre J. Hornsby, and Mayor John Spencer, former Mayor John Spencer. The board voted to fire Dr. Hornsby, the city's first Black superintendent, after he announced improved test scores and the narrowing of a stubborn gap in achievement between Black and white students, precisely the challenge he was hired to address in 1998. Right? This is a tragedy in a single word. And it seems like our schools have always been this way, right? It seems this is a tragedy in a single word, said Ellis Carlson, one of the 3 people on the 8-member board who voted not to fire Dr. Hornsby. The superintendent has done an outstanding job. Scores have gone up dramatically across the board, and 26,000 children were benefiting, right? So they based it on the reason why they fired him was because he didn't want to say that the schools were free of racism, right? He didn't feel that that was the case. He still felt that, you know, they still needed this oversight, although the city wanted to get up out of it, right? They didn't want the feds all over the city, all over the schools, right? Nobody wants that. Last summer, a federal court ruled that the Yonkers City School District, the state's fourth largest, now the third largest, was free of any vestiges of racism. That effectively reversed an order put into effect in 1986 after the court found that the city had intentionally segregated minority children in the city's poorest schools. And I feel like maybe that's still actually occurring today, right? In terms of housing and segregation. They didn't increase the affordable housing ordinance. That means that less people who qualify for affordable housing will be able to get an apartment in the new developments that are going up. And just statistically, you know, a large percentage of those who qualify for affordable housing happen to be minorities. So, you know, are they segregating, you know, people? Are they, you know, opting out of, instead of increasing the ordinance to, you know, have more affordable units in the developments, they're saying we're going to build more affordable housing elsewhere. So are they segregating? Are they putting people somewhere else, right? Minorities specifically. The mayor and the school board have pronounced their eagerness to be free of the stigma of the court order, but ending the order meant that the state withheld $47 million that would have gone to programs to improve minority achievements. So the superintendent encouraged the board to appeal the decision, right? So he wanted to appeal the decision that, you know, the federal court ruled that it no longer, the Yonkers Public School no longer, you know, had a racism problem. But that current superintendent didn't agree with that. But the administration in the city wanted them to, to get rid of that whole investigation and the federal oversight. So they didn't agree with the superintendent wanting to appeal. So they wanted to get rid of him. That's what they do. You go against the grain, they're going to get rid of you, right? So was it more about school funding? And also he was also, you know, requesting more money. He said, we need more money. We need more money. So was it his request for more money or racism? Hornsby asked for more money to cover a $34 million deficit, right? He accused the city of racism, but is that anything new here in the city of Yonkers, right? Interesting to note, in 1988, Yonkers Public Schools its population was 35% minority. When this article came out in 2000, it was 75% minority. Today, the Yonkers Public School population consists of about 79% of the student body is minority. Right, the mayor and Hornsby, Mayor Spano Hornsby, fought over $47 million the mayor was willing to lose by covering up the fact that racism was still present in the schools. I believe racism is still alive today, but I lean towards more calling it classism. That's what I believe. It's about neglecting the poor, which is why our schools do not see the attention or get the attention that they need. They still need. 75% of the students live at or below the poverty line. That means that their parents do not pay property taxes, right? And quite possibly don't pay income taxes as they may not have a job, right? And so maybe that only thing a lot of the parents, you know, of students in Yonkers Public School pay is sales tax. So they're not going to give the schools that much attention because they probably figure, well, 75% of the parents don't pay property taxes. Many of them probably don't get income tax, and if they do, they pay income taxes very little. So why should we give them attention? Why should we give them money? Why should we give the schools money, right? Because funding the schools properly and improving the schools means that it would be putting money towards essentially the minority population here in the city of Yonkers and, you know, those who make, you know, a lower income. So that's why our schools are getting neglected, is it? I'll let you guys decide, right? So anyway, I want to move on to the next guy because there's 5 of them. The next guy was a gentleman by the name of Joe Former. So when they fired Andre Hornsby, the first black superintendent, right? They people who supported him, because there were people that supported him, you know, cried racism, something that he was saying still existed within the Yonkers Public Schools. So what did they do? They brought Joe Farmer out of retirement. Instead of hiring a principal that was already working in the school district to, you know, and or someone else within the district already and moving them up promoting them to superintendent, they went and found another black man and got him out of retirement, so it wouldn't look like it was, you know, a thing of racism. You know, they didn't want to seem like they're getting rid of the black guy, right? That's what it was all about. Joe Farmer was actually, you know, my mother's principal back in the day. So he's been with the school district a long time. Joe Farmer, he actually resigned in 2002, but he picked up in 2000 when Andre Hornsby was fired, right? And again, I think they got him out of retirement probably because they were looking for a black guy, right? So they can say, wait, look, we're not racist. That's not why we fired Hornsby, right? It's not about racism, right? So they went and brought him out of retirement, fireball style. Anybody know who Fireball is from The Running Man? The black guy that came out of retirement to try and kill Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe I watched too much TV. Anyway, Farmer did not last that long. Actually, he was a 2-minute brother. But let me read up a little bit about Joe Farmer. The Yonkers School Superintendent Joe L. Farmer has resigned as the head of the state's fourth largest school district at that time, abruptly severing what some residents here describe as a strained relationship with the Yonkers Board of Education. Mr. Farmer submitted his resignation Friday night during a hastily called board meeting that caught many educators and parents by surprise. He said that he would leave his post at the end of the week. Mr. Farmer did not return messages, blah, 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 blah. Moving on, but several of Mr. Farmer's supporters said today that he was being forced out, at least in part because of his increasingly testy relationship with a majority of the school board's 9 trustees. Maybe we should, you know, call on changing the way the trustees are, you know, appointed, right? Maybe they should be voted in. That's what I think. You know, I don't know. What do you think, parents? I think they, in recent months, they say these trustees have sought more oversight over Mr. Farmer and his aides on grant applications and other administrative matter. The majority of the board has taken more of a superintendent's power. And not only that, they have been very critical of him, said Albert A. Edwards, a trustee, right? Roberta Ferrito, the school board president, said that Mr. Farmer had decided on his own to resign and that the board had not tried to force him out. He said that these trustees had asked responsible questions about the school district that some people may have misinterpreted as micromanaging. Right. I don't believe that, though. Here are my thoughts anyway. To me, it sounds like this was a play that they ran after, you know, firing Andre Hornsby, replacing with a black man so it doesn't look like it's racism. He also helped broker a deal. Joe Farmer, he helped broker the deal that ended the investigation, the federal investigation, and it got the feds off the district's back, off the city's back. So that was something that they needed him for. Also, it was a black guy. You got to use a black guy to work out this, you know, federal investigation in regards to racism, right? So, and they also used him to secure a cool $300 million over a 5-year period to pay for programs supposedly to improve the performance of minority children. So did it? How was that $300 million spent? How was it allocated? Because we are in bad shape now, right? So what solidified it for me that, you know, was that this woman named Mary Ellen Winicki, the chairwoman of a thing called the Mayor's Parent Involvement Task Force. She said, Joe put a good team in and set things in place. He left his mark on the district, implying that the Yonkers Public Schools did not need him at the helm to move forward, right? So it was all a political move, hiring Joe Farmer. It was all a political move. Then they wanted him out. Once they got what they wanted, they got the feds off their back. They got that $300 million. That's it. They put pressure. They don't really want you here anymore, Joe. We just got you out of retirement just for a few years, right? So they pushed him out. They allowed him to resign because it looks better than getting fired, right? Always. So that's what happened there with the second black superintendent ever in the city of Yonkers. Moving on. Angelo Petroni. Is it Petrone? Angelo Petrone, hiring scandal in Yonkers, New York. School superintendent Angelo Petrone resigned and is indicted. So not only did this guy resign, he got indicted. But check out what he got indicted for. This is very interesting. Very interesting. This is from the inspector. He was investigated by the Inspector General. On October 20th, 2004, the Yonkers Board of Education approved a resolution containing the appointment of Pietro Barberi, if I'm saying that right, to the position of Provisional Senior Accountant in the Yonkers Public School Department of Finance. Shortly thereafter, a series of newspaper articles and editorials began to question the propriety of this appointment. Specifically, the media questioned, I wonder how that they know about this, whether it was appropriate to give a $90,000 starting salary to a 24-year-old with limited accounting experience. So she became the senior accountant making $90,000 at 24 years old, just getting out of college, right? Ain't that something? Right? So rumors also began to circulate that Mr. Barberi was neither related to Yonkers Superintendent of Schools Angelo Petrone or was related to the Yonkers Superintendent of Schools Angelo Petrone or was romantically involved with the superintendent's daughter, and that he was hired as a result of those connections. So that's why they got rid of this guy, or he resigned, and eventually he would be indicted, and then he would plead guilty for perjury. Yonkers School Superintendent indicted on perjury and tampering with public records. He tried to, hide the fact. The Yonkers Board of Education looked within the district. That's the next guy. But yeah, he pled guilty to perjury charges, and he was gone. Moving on to the next guy, right? But anyway, that whole situation there with Angelo Petrone, to me, it was like the Mike Cater thing. Honestly, it gave me a feel of that. They wanted him out. They wanted him gone, so they conspired to remove him with allegations, right, that you can pretty much accuse anyone here in the city of Yonkers. I mean, we talk about the Friends and Family Network all the time. So this guy hires somebody that he knows, supposedly, and he gets fired for it, or he's forced to resign, and then gets brought up on charges for perjury and all this. His life just went upside down, went to a spiral after that. But do you think that he was just able to hire this person on his own? You don't think that there were other people who knew, who had to approve this also? They knew. They okayed it. So you got to be careful, folks, when you're getting favors. Some of you elected officials, city council people, got your relatives working all in the city. Be careful, because when they don't want you, they're going to use that against you. And it happened to Mike Cater with the Quid Quo Pro. Is there anyone else here in the city of Yonkers that we can maybe investigate for Quid Quo Pro? I'm quite sure there are. Number 4, Bernard, I can't even pronounce his last name. Pierozazio became superintendent in 2005. He lasted the longest. He resigned in 2015. So I want to introduce you to this guy by playing a video. Actually, I'm not sure if I use the if I put the sound. I just want to make sure. Check out what the Senator Cousins, Andrew Stewart Cousins, has to say about this next superintendent.
For this body and recognize my Yonkers School Superintendent as the School Superintendent of the Year. Obviously, New York State picks a superintendent each year, and I hope that each of you have an opportunity to rise and congratulate your superintendent. My superintendent, as you've heard, is quite extraordinary, and I speak from firsthand experience because I first met Bernard Pierozazio when he was, I guess, an assistant principal and then principal of one of my 3 children who went to Saunders.
Pierozazio.
Saunders is an extraordinary place. And
point of this whole video is that he won Superintendent of the Year or something like that. Andrea Stewart Cousins, Senator Andrea Stewart Cousins is praising him here. She's proud of him. She's proud that he is a superintendent within her districts or whatever that she represents, right? So he must be a great guy. He must be a great guy. This dude caught a raw deal in my book. Or in my opinion, I say. In my opinion, he caught a raw deal. But at least he lasted 10 years, right? But he got caught up in an accounting scandal. And it's messed up because he ended up, taking the fall pretty much. The Yonkers Board of Education looked within the district Wednesday to name Bernard Pierozazio the next superintendent of school. Pierozazio, who has been with the Yonkers school system for 31 years, had been serving as an interim school superintendent since June. He takes over for former superintendent Angelo Petrone, who stepped down in the midst of a hiring scandal. Little did he know he would be stepping into an accounting scandal, right? Little did he know. Parents and teachers who attended the board meetings at Saunders High School seemed pleased by the board's decision. In a speech delivered after the vote, Perazio admitted he had some tough issues to tackle within the district. The new superintendent says he wants to fix budget problems. Ain't that something? Foreshadowing for sure. Budget problems and address the lack of a teacher's contract. The board unanimously approved Perazio's hiring. Right? They unanimously approved this guy. The Senator Stuart Cousins is talking great about him. He won Superintendent of the Year. How did he get involved in this scandal? How? I don't know. Let me find out. I don't even know where I put that freaking thing at. But anyway, Perazio was involved, and I spoke about this yesterday. He was involved in this $55 million accounting error scandal that happened here in the district, right? He retires in the wake of an accounting error that led to a $55 million deficit in the district's budget. But what ended up happening was that it was like a mistake. It was an accounting mistake. They included this money that was not approved by the state. And so they were not going to get it, but yet they accounted for it in their budget. And so then they don't have this money. Oh my God, there's a $55 million deficit. Where does this money go? Put a hiring freeze, no more hiring, cut programs, stop this, that, and the third. Children suffer. Children suffer, right? But it was all a mistake, supposedly. Supposedly. Let me read out what it says here about the guy. I don't know why I just put this Perazio. I thought I had a Perazio. In the wake of an accounting scandal that failed Yonkers School Superintendent Bernard Perazio and the district's top finance officer, the state's fourth largest city or school district, I should say, faces a $44.3 million deficit with a $39 million shortfall looming for the 2014-15 budget. That's the conclusion in an interim report by the city finance commissioner, John Lizowiski, which was obtained by Tax Watch. The report was issued 16 days after the Board of Education in the city struck an unprecedented agreement, listen to this, is important, to let the city finance officials examine the school board's financial records, help complete the 2012-2013 audit, and develop the 2014-15 budget. That's important. The Yonkers Inspector General, meanwhile, continues to investigate the district. It is very disturbing to read that report, Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano said. There were safeguards to protect us that didn't work, and there are safeguards that don't exist because of the firewall that has existed between the city and the schools. It's a game. Perazio, who retired last month, was replaced by interim superintendent Michael Yazurlo, who would also be involved in another scandal. Under state law, Yonkers Public Schools are controlled by the appointed Board of Education, but receive property tax support. Again, remember, 79% of the students, I should say 75% of the student body is living at or below the poverty line. That means that they're not paying property tax. 75% of the parents, Yonkers Public School parents, not paying property tax. So that's why they don't care as much about the schools. We don't, it's for people who don't put in. That's how they look at it, right? So from the city government, when the shortfall was discovered in January, Spano proposed consolidating the city and school district and putting it under mayoral control. And that's what I believe, in my humble opinion, was the whole goal and reason why we saw that scandal. It was a setup, I believe, in my opinion, to do exactly that. Combine the city and school budget together. The Yonkers Public Schools get about $600-700 million a year. Together with the city's budget, that's about $1.4 million. The whole county of Westchester has a budget of $1.7 billion. That's not much more than Yonkers a city by itself, right? And I know we're the third largest city. I get it, right? The man spent 13 years. Actually, I believe and I may be wrong because it said he was with the school district in Yonkers for 31, but it said he spent 13 years as a superintendent in Tuckahoe, right at Union Free District there. He's a great community school as well, whatever. The rate, you know what? I don't know if that's true or not. Anyway, he was a great superintendent, right? It seemed that he was doing a great job. You heard what the Senator's Cousins had said about him. He won Superintendent of the Year. He was there longer than all the other guys, but they wanted to take control of the school budget and the school as a whole. And that's where we stand now. The administration has total control of the Yonkers Public Schools, the budget, and nothing has improved. And guess who was the president of the school board of trustees when this happened, when this $55 million deficit happened? Nader Sage, the assemblyman running for re-election. He was the president of the school board of trustees. Now, why didn't he get fired or get removed along with the superintendent? Was it because he supported combining the budgets? Was he the inside guy? That's up to you guys to decide, right? Anyway, that's that's crazy, man. Anyway, the result of this accounting scandal was not only the superintendent resignation, but also the Yonkers Public School budget was combined with the city's budget as well. Guess again, I told you Nader Sage was the president of the school board of trustees. You know, again, why wasn't he fired? Because he was the inside guy. He helped set them up. He helped set this whole scheme up. All right, Bernard Perazio. Bernard, you know that? I'm sure you do. I'm sure you're well aware, right? And what did he get? He continued being the president. He got support when he ran for assembly. And he wants to be mayor now. Nader wants to be mayor. Mr. Nader Sage. Moving on to the next guy. Michael Yazzurlo. He took over when Perazio resigned after that bogus accounting scandal. And then this guy resigned. He left. Yonkers School Superintendent Michael Yazzurlo, whatever, is leaving his position due to health reasons, right? Yeah, okay. The school district said on Friday. Dr. Yazzurlo brought a steady hand and vision to the district when he came out of retirement to take the helm. Another one that came out of retirement to take the helm, Nader Sage said in a statement, his advocacy and leadership as a teacher, as principal of Roosevelt High School, and as superintendent of schools made a difference in the lives of the students we serve. The trustees and I wish him well in his future endeavors. So why did he resign? Why did he resign? For health reasons, quote unquote. Yazzurlo later said he was forced to resign. So he later came out and said, I was forced to resign, right? After school officials threatened to release reports that he had been paying for pornography. He's watching porn and paying for his porn on district computers, right? Supposedly, but he denied the claims. And not only was he watching it, supposedly he charged it to the school district. The taxpayers paid almost $800 in a porn bill. I don't believe that. They're doing the same with me. They're trying to say I watch child pornography, right? That's what they're trying to say now. It's like I'm noticing as I go back into these old stories and stuff that they run the same plays. They accuse people of the same things. Like, you guys need to get, some new stuff here now. It's getting old. Am I muted? Pepsi? The Board of Education, they created the scandal and then found a solution that benefited the mayor, tarnishing the superintendent and Nader Sage. No, Nader Sage was a part of it. Come on. I know you guys support Nader, Brandon, but, you guys, Nader was a part of it. Come on, Brandon. You know he was a part of it, Brandon. I mentioned this a few weeks ago on my page. This is how the city works. Mr. P was beloved amongst his subordinates. That much I know. So it seems that Senator Stewart Cousins was correct. Unfortunately, she also praised John Mueller publicly when the Spaniel shoved him onto the MTAPD, an endorsement she will come to regret in short order. Nothing personal, Senator. Can someone really be, can we really, if we see an elected official, right, do something so great, like, hiring or supporting or doing this, and it's wonderful. And then they go and support people that are obviously corrupt. And I'm not talking about John Mueller specifically. I'm just saying, in general, they associate with themselves, they support, they endorse people that are obviously, I mean, it's hard for me to really see them as really righteous all the way, like good, right? It's kind of like you're just playing the game, right? This is not a game. Politics is about helping people. It's about making, our community, our society, better for all those who live within it, right? That's what it's about. We elect people to, represent us, represent our needs and some of our wants, but they have not done that. Here in Yonkers, they have not represented the people. They definitely don't represent what the people's needs are, because, just look at what they're doing. They only care about luxury and developments. That's the majority. Now they're talking about the senior thing, right? But they have to, because Freddy Vazquez is putting the spotlight on them. Basement politics really makes an impact. They come out many times to, defend things that I may have said on here, right? So, it's all bogus. They don't really care. There was never a need for luxury developments, was there? Were the people in Yonkers saying, we need luxury developments? Oh my gosh, what are we going to do here? We don't get luxury developments. Is this cast open to all subjects? Sure. What would you like to talk about? And honestly, I was thinking about doing something where I would put a link, I share the link, and, people could join me and we can discuss, different topics or anything you want to talk about. As a matter of fact, I'll do this. Who has a camera, microphone and camera and want to join me? There's the link if you want to join me on. Yonkers not having the bulk pickup of junk for residents over 6 family. Be more elaborate a little more. What you mean? Yonkers not having the bulk pickup of junk for residents over 6 families. I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to say there, but I know that there was something about where they wanted to start treating 3-family homes like commercial properties, and then start charging them for their garbage pickup or something like that, for their bulk pickups. Is that what you're referring to? I'm sorry. Nothing has changed. No, nothing has changed since Patron, just gotten worse. Absolutely. And so this is why I constantly mention our school district. Folks, if you're a parent, you have a child in the Yonkers Public School. If this is you, then I'm definitely talking to you, right? And I'm not saying that the teachers are bad. No, they're great. The staff, faculty, great. Administration, great, right? But I'm talking about the officials and their responsibilities to our children. My kids attend the Yonkers Public School as well. Why are our children lacking so much? Why are they not working harder, fighting harder to provide them a quality of education that we see outside of Yonkers? Yonkers does generate a lot of money. Don't fool you. Let them fool you. That's why the state gives them what they give them. And they blame the state. Oh, they don't give us enough. No, that's because Yonkers, for some reason, is not managing the money properly. And so our students, our kids, the future, suffer. And so you have a repeated cycle of poverty, which is why that number remains large, at 75%. So rather than, improve the school so students can get a better education, they can break the cycle of poverty as a result of that better education. No, the solution seems to be, let's build luxury developments, which will increase the rents of the buildings and apartments around those developments. And ultimately that will push that segment of the population out. And so you'll see a drop in those who are living at or below the poverty line, because they can't afford what they were, able to afford, what little maybe they had here in Yonkers. And so people are leaving. It's a mass exodus. And so that's the solution, right? And so this is why I'm speaking out about it, because that's not the way to go about it. And our schools need a lot of attention. There's a need for 3 new buildings because of the number of students. that attend the Yonkers public schools. The classrooms are crowded. Their books, no resources, right? No, labs, no chemistry labs, no experiment. They're not doing this stuff. No real sports programs. And what they do have, I have to say, shout out to the Yonkers Force and the Blaze and the fire department and the police department for supporting those two teams. But it really, it does a disservice to our kids. It limits them, and their ability to achieve more. I mean, think of a school that has a robust, and I like to use that word thanks to John Rubel, robust sports program where every school has its own sports team, right? And they start even younger, like the district I went to in high school, I graduated. I mean, they started in 6th grade, the sports program, the baseball, all. So by the time they're in high school, these kids were good, And so a lot of them got scholarships because of it, at the very least. And there were students that actually made it to pro leagues. I know, or former now, right? So they did very well as a result. I mean, the senior vice president of Marvel Studios, the producer of the Captain America series and the Avengers and others, graduated with me. Graduated in my class, right? So people do very well, whether you were black, white, Hispanic, because they had so much more. And so that is why I am focused on our elected officials, specifically our council, because they don't do anything. Tasha Diaz is the chair of the education committee. And so again, if you're a parent of the Yonkers public school student, you know that while you may like your teacher, the principal may be great, we're not knocking them. The overall experience is not. And we get a D- overall for our school district here in Yonkers. And that's not okay. And that should be the main priority, along with housing, because we don't want people becoming homeless more and more as rents continue to rise, right? And so those two things are the least spoken about by our city council. And then they give us this little show when they go and do a presentation at the Dayspring Community Center over there, right? That they could barely get together, that obviously we're not prepared for. They were learning it with the audience at the same time. And they should have had already an ordinance in place way before these luxury buildings were coming in. A real representative of the people would have said, oh, y'all guys want to build up in Yonkers? Well, guess what? We're going to have this affordable housing ordinance in place. The minute they start building the first building, we're going to get twice as many affordable units in that building because we need it, right? And you developers have to hire people from Yonkers. And I get it. Time is money, and they can't take the time to train people to do this stuff. They already have a whole system and infrastructure in place. I get that. But there are companies here in Yonkers that could have done the same. And I'm sure that the guys from Local 456 would agree. And that's not happening. So I don't care about the food drive. That's not the only need that Yonkers has. And there are many others also providing that need. But you guys want to make it seem like, oh my God, if Tasha Diaz doesn't do it, people are going to starve to death. You're going to see a bunch of babies on the street with flies all over their face because they're not getting any food. Tasha Diaz no longer does it. That's not the reality, right? The reality is that there's so much more. Our kids need, we need housing, the roads. Horrible. The roads are horrible. And you don't realize it, but your car is getting damaged every day you drive on these roads. Your bearings are worsening quicker. They're wearing out quicker. Your tires are wearing out quicker. Your struts are wearing out quicker. And you don't realize it because it's not an immediate impact, but over time, it does have an impact to your wallet. And that affects you. But you don't realize, shit, these potholes got me buying new tires. My rims is bent. My struts are going out quicker. I got to replace, my brakes, all the dust from the construction and the road work that they're doing, getting in your brakes, that damages your stuff. You have to see all the nasty stuff I took out of my wheels. So, they don't care about this. They don't care to tell Con Edison, when you rip up the street, put that shit back the way it was, or actually better, because it probably was crappy to begin with. But you made it worse. And it's not okay that you come in here and leave it like that. And that's where I have a problem. I have a problem when they don't care about people because they don't think you're, anyone. You're not, you can't do nothing. You're small. You're little. You don't have money. You're a minority. You're poor. You don't speak English, right? And so they don't care. They don't care. They don't give you the same respect. And that bothers me. And that bothers me. And that's why I do basement politics for the most part, right? They have after school for the kids, but they only the only problem was that they aren't busing the kids home. You have to pick them up. And you know what? And check it out. They do have after school programs, but there's a lot of lacking of funding. So a lot of kids are not getting placed, or if, kids that are getting subsidies get the after school, but the UPK programming, only 150 kids out of 350 because 200 did not get placed. So, the kids are home, right? And they're not learning like they should be. And you're right. They should be providing transportation. Guess what? We will be doing that very soon. My UPK, Universal Pre-K Center and Daycare, will be providing transportation to and from home or school. If we, got to pick them up for school, for the after school, pick them up there, take them home. We're going to have our Little Prodigies bus, right? Lights, bus driver, trained and everything. It's official, right? Because we have to step up as a community, and I'm going to do that. But our school district should be providing it, and our leaders should be assuring that our district is funded well enough to do that. Our kids should not be, going on public transportation like that and then dropped off in the square. They should be dropped off at their home, not somewhere in the square, and you hope that they get there. These are teenagers. We all were teenagers, right? We're going to use that excuse. Oh, Ma, the bus came late. Oh, Ma, there was, traffic, knowing that we were out doing something we weren't supposed to be doing, right? And that's not okay, because that time, that idle time, kids will get in trouble. They all come and gather in the square. And what do you have there? Police standing by like it's, prison guards, right? And I'm not saying anything negative about the police. You got to be there because shit be happening, be popping off, right? So they got to be there. But then it's like you have this whole, I seen a guy out there today with a vest on. He didn't have a regular uniform. He just vest on, look military style a little bit, right? I'm like, what is this guy doing? I got the feds and all that out here. But, so that's not okay. They should be provided buses, even in high school, and then picked up near their home and dropped off right back near their home. And that's how it should be. No ifs, ands, or buts. And the school district should have its own buses. How much do they spend on these contracts? And that's another problem. Either you don't have someone who cares enough, or someone who has the knowledge enough to go through these things and, make these assessments, right? And say, hey, this is what we need. This is where we could cut, cost here and save. So we can put that towards, transportation for everyone. Or we can have cheerleaders and a drum line, and every school have a football team, right? And nice stands and stuff for the parents to come and support their kids, right? That's what it's all about. Some of these kids need extra help. That's right. And that's another thing that we do. And I'm going to promote my daycare. Absolutely. We provide the kids that extra help. And this is what I was saying to a parent. I felt like I was in my Wall Street days on the phone. I tell them, I say, our goal is to go the extra mile. We don't want kids just to be average. We want them to be above average. So if they come to us behind, we catch them up, and then we work to push them to be ahead. So when they go into kindergarten, they're above. It's never too early to introduce certain things to kids, or a lot of things to kids. It may say, oh, they're too young for that. No, they're not. It's a perfect age. This is when they're absorbing everything and they're learning. And so that's what we do. And we're providing the things that the school district is not providing, especially with the arts and the musics, and stuff like that, STEM programs, STEM learning. And so we do that in the after school also, and we help with their homework. So your kid will get dropped off once we get the transportation up and running with his homework or her homework done. Projects, we do that too. We help them with their school projects, right? Even if it's, big project. But that's what it's all about. We do this because we care. We're not doing this to make money, because I ain't made $1 in 2 years. I spent a lot of money. They pick up couches and junk being thrown out for buildings less than 6 family, but not for buildings more than 6 family. Income taxes and property taxes are still paid by people living in those larger buildings. They have to. Well, you know the thing about those buildings that they consider those commercial like buildings after a certain amount, you know, of units, and so you know it's technically up to the landlord, the owner of that building, to pay for a company, a private company, and set up a contract to come do that, right? Like even me as a business owner, you know, I can't. The city of Yonkers doesn't pick up my garbage at the daycare, so we have to have a private company come pick that up, you know, and you know we don't have a lot of garbage, but we still have garbage, and we have to pay this no matter what, this monthly bill. So it kind of sucks because I wish I could just. Sometimes we would just take it home, but it's gotten a little way we can't. So you know, we used to just throw it in the back of the truck and just bring it home, but. You know, so that's why I mean, I'm not sure. Do you own that, you know, a 6-story? You know, you have to speak to the landlord if you're renting there and say, hey, I have this stuff. How do we get rid of it? You know, they also have the recycling center there if you can't haul it. You know, I noticed companies, you know, unfortunately. Is there something you need specifically, man? Maybe I can see if I can get a couch or two. I don't know if I could do a whole lot, but you know, I'm not trying to move people here. But you know, if there's 1 or 2 things. I had a lady once. She saw me walking. I was looking at some stuff on Elm Street, and she asked if I can bring down a refrigerator for her. She lived on the 2nd floor. Mind you, just to get to the 1st floor was a whole flight of stairs. I said, by myself? She said, yeah, I'll give you $20. I said, it's not about the money, but look at me, woman. I mean, I wish, you know what I mean? Where you want me to put it? So, take some money out of their big paying people and put it back in the school. 1,000%. See, that's a problem. And I don't want to knock anyone, right? Because people, you know, to speaking the truth, sometimes you're going to get flack because some people may not like what you're saying. Because, yo, Fred, you talking about, I understand, but it's not about you. It's just the truth. You know, I'm speaking the truth. It's not about you, though. But what I'm about to say is that a lot of city employees get paid over $100,000 a year. They make a lot of money. Yet, many of them do not live here in the city of Yonkers. Therefore, they don't pay property taxes. Their kids don't go to the schools here anyway. They don't even vote here. So that impacts us. It does. If you really think about it, you break it down, that has an impact on our overall economy. The average person in Yonkers makes $35,000 a year, but the average city employee makes over $100,000 a year. They don't live in Yonkers. Maybe that should be a prerequisite, because then we can tax those income, at least get some of that money back, because it's the taxpayers that are paying those salaries. And it leaves our city. Doesn't come back to us, at least, when they get taxed and then go into our schools, maybe our roads and elsewhere. So that has an impact. And that is why the state, again, looks at Yonkers like, well, you guys pay pretty good. You pay your employees very well, right? You guys have this city tax and all that. Where's the money? It's not being managed right. You're allowing people to come in here, earn this money, and then leave with it, like all those developers and contractors that are coming from Connecticut. They're taking that money with them. And they're not really going into the stores to eat. They're bringing their lunch boxes with them. Come on. Right? I thought the tax breaks from the casino and Stu Leonard's and other developments were supposed to go to Yonkers School. Yeah, all of us did, right? We all did. And now, guess what? They're telling us this is what I'm saying, folks. If you go back into, you know, Yonkers politics, go back, you hear same stuff. It's like a broken record. They said that with the casino when it was Empire City. We're supposed to get all this money for the schools to the tune of $19-20 million. What has that money done? Where has it gone exactly? We need an itemized, you know, detailed account, an expenditure list. Where did that money go? All those years of getting $19-20 million from the casino. And then now they're selling us on this whole MGM thing deal. They want, you know, don't you love how they try to get us excited like it's for us? It's not for us, the regular folks. It's not. I hate when you're trying to get us excited. Like, well, yeah, the luxury developments, yay. I don't own them. I'm not living in them, right? They're not paying property taxes. They're making the city more crowded. What is there to like about them? What is there to yay about them? Not a damn thing, unless you want to be bougie, right? But they're talking about the MGM Grand. It's going to have full gaming. They're getting full license. You can go over there, play blackjack, all that stuff, right? The roulette tables. And they're like, yeah, it's going to bring in all this money to Yonkers. But you said that last time and the time before that. You know what I mean? At some point, you know, you have to say, wait a minute, it's BS. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me once, fool me twice, you can't fool me again. Who was that? You fool me once, fool me twice, you can't fool me again. And that was the president of the United States. No, thank you. I live in a co-op building. It's been said that it is a business. Yeah, I don't see how it is. The property tax is close to $200,000 a year, and everybody pays income tax. What do you mean that the building itself it's a business? You know, I'm not. Well, you guys, yeah, but don't you guys pay if you live in a co-op? Don't you pay into association fees that covers that stuff? Right? I mean, you guys supposed to have like an association fee that you pay into, and then that's supposed to, you know, provide grass cutting, you know, that garbage, large bulk removal, and all that stuff. You know, it you know, maybe security or whatever else. I mean, I don't know. That you have to speak with the people from your building because they should be taking care of that for you somehow. The recycle news stories and play musical chairs with the employees. Absolutely, I call them the recyclables. The same people. They go from one position to the next, to the other. You see it. You're gonna see it. And so this is again unfortunate because it doesn't allow for more residents of the city to get into these positions, right? Denying them of earning $100,000 plus, $1,000 plus year income. How many people have applied to work at DPW or sanitation? How many people have applied to become police officers here in Yonkers or firemen or any job in the city and have been waiting and waiting and waiting and nothing? Right? How many? You have to do favors. It's not fair that there are people that are waiting because people ask me and they tell me now, you know, I put my application in. How do I get a job in the city? I'm like, I don't know. You know, but I hear about people like an individual who was released from jail earlier this year and was already hired by DPW. And he has a felony. Yet other residents, non-felons, have been waiting for years. Still no call. And that's a problem because, again, it denies other people the opportunity to generate a good income, have a good job with a pension. And they were talking about this the other day at the city council meeting. They just lowered the civil service exam cost to $50. Okay, folks? If you're interested in taking the civil service exam, it was $100, but the mayor and others agree that it should be lowered because they're saying that there's a decrease in applicants from, you know, a year or two ago. The last time they had the test or whatever, there was a decrease, and they're saying that it might be because of the cost. Well, I personally offered to pay for a few people. No one took me up on the offer. And then, you know, even at $100, while I'm not saying that, you know, that's not a lot for some people, if it gives you an opportunity to get a job that pays you over $100,000 a year with good benefits, retirement, and all that, it's worth it. I don't think it was about the money. I think it's because people are just tired of applying for no reason. They take the test, they apply, and they don't get called back. That's the problem. That's why no one took me up on the offer. Why? They're not going to call me. Doesn't matter. Right? And so that's the problem here. And so that's what we have to change. You know, we have to really change that. And we do that by voting new individuals. Like the gentleman there said, you know, it's the same people getting put into these positions, you know, whether it's office, elected to office. Once they're out of office, they'll get put into, you know, a city job. If Mike Breen doesn't win the assembly race against Nader, watch him end up in a city job somewhere. Guaranteed. Guaranteed Mike Breen is going to end up in some city job making over $100,000 a year, at least 120 or more. Remember, I said that. And folks, you know, there's some of you out there that will give me that props. They'll be like, yo, Freddy, man, at first I thought you was just crazy until the things you were saying started happening. This is how it is sometimes, man. Try to tell my wife that, you know, I can't convince my wife yet of that. It is who you know to get those jobs, 1,000%. But I also hear that people have paid as much as $20,000 to get a job. with the city. And this is from multiple sources, people that have had no interest in, making that up. There was no reason they would do that. Just in conversation about something else that came up, nothing about politics. So I know that it's true. You have to know a Spano to work for the city. That's a known fact. Well, there's a lot of Spanos, so it's a good chance that you'll get to know one, right? It's a high probability. Get to know one. Why should we have to pay for those tests? That's a good point. And you know what? I don't know why our city council members did not suggest that. In fact, one of them, Moranti, seemed to have a problem with the cost being reduced. He said, "Why do we have to reduce them for everybody? Can't we, only do it for people if they can prove that they, are in need, or that they have a financial hardship, or dude, really?" Like, I mean, these people don't care. I mean, geez, people don't care at all. They just really don't care. And so Moranti was like, "Yeah, we need that money. I guess it's for the, the processing of it and all that. You got to pay people to process the application, the exams themselves, the proctors and all that stuff. There is a cost. I do understand that. But listen, they still can do it for free. Okay. At this point, can we at least get that? Can we at least get that? It's a damn shame. It sure is. They lowered because no one paying for the test. They are losing money on application fee. Even if you pass the test, you got to know someone. But that's what I'm saying. But is it because of the cost, or is it because they know they're not going to get hired? Everyone's saying you got to know someone, right? So people are like, well, do I know someone? Nope, I'm not going to take it, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, is it because of the cost, or is it because people just know I don't know anyone? I'm not going to get hired. It's no point in taking it. Even if it was $20, even if it was $5, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get hired. I'm not taking it. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably what it is. That's probably what it is. Ask how many felons work as janitors at night at YPS. You would be surprised, or maybe not. Nah, I wouldn't be surprised. At this point, nothing should surprise you here in the city of Yonkers, the city of Hill, where nothing is on the level. Speaking of YPS janitors, I've had a lot of people reach out to me in regards to a former Yonkers Public School janitor who went on to become an elected official and also went on to go work at DPW. People have questioned, how did that happen when so many people have been trying to get onto DPW? And they say, this guy had a hell of a year. He won an election, got a new job. And it's not to knock the guy, because the individuals, from what I know, good guys out there doing this thing, but things like that, really are discouraging to the public, the people at large, and it's like, we need jobs, good jobs, not no BS jobs. People are not going to want that. And you have to understand, it's almost like, what's the point? I can't even pay for my housing anyway if I worked 40 hours at this job, right? Or even 60. So, we need good paying jobs. So when the good paying jobs are kept for a few and circulated within a few, people are going to be upset, and something has to be said. It's not personal, but you have to understand, some people will love to have a job or two where they were making $80,000+ a year. And it wasn't backbreaking work. And I'm not speaking to anyone in specific, I'm saying in general, because some people don't have backbreaking work, although working in sanitation is backbreaking work. But some others who have other jobs, other places, like a Seda Jarris, who can't pass a supervisor test, yet she gets named supervisor over at the recycling plant, making $130,000 a year after she left working as the aide for Mike Cater, took a hiatus, a little break, and then pops up with a job making $130,000 like that for the city. How does that happen for some people? And others can't catch a break. And that's what has to change. And it's becoming too blatant and too in your face. And that's why I mentioned the individual, because it is a little bit, right? And people have noticed. and people are talking about it. And things like that ultimately will go against what you would like the people to view you as. You need to not just do for self, but do for others. I wouldn't be mad if y'all were doing what y'all doing, if at least you were doing more for the people. Let us get something too. We want to eat. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you folks for joining me. Please continue to share the podcast. Continue to let a friend know. Tell a friend to tell a friend. That's how a lot of people are starting to learn about it. Everyone's saying, someone told me about it. I appreciate that to everyone who's spreading the word. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I know a janitor that would take school supplies home for their home, toilet paper and garbage bags and other things. And I wouldn't be surprised if that still happens now. Some people are opportunists. They can't help themselves. They think they're coming off. Let me tell you, if you think you're coming off, you're not. You're really not. Think about how you're making yourself look. You're stealing from kids, ultimately, because that's what the school supplies are there for. And for what? Because you don't want to have to spend a few dollars out of your own pocket. I love the society that we live in, where everybody thinks they're balling and they're a superstar, yet they're stealing toilet paper from schools. Folks, I'm Freddie Jackson. I'm Freddie Jackson. I'm not Freddie Jackson. I was watching actually. That's from Friday's a joke where he said Freddie Jackson. I was watching that last night. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics. But Friday, the movie Friday, is on Netflix. In case you didn't know. Thank you for joining me, folks. I appreciate it. Tune in tomorrow. Again, I have Anthony DiMaggio, part 8 of our interview series. He'll be back on, and listen, it's gonna, I got some questions. People are talking. Definitely, I learned that the individual that he calls Goomba, Officer Renterino, I forget the first name, did watch the show. From what I'm hearing, people are watching the show that he's talking about, and we're gonna discuss this tomorrow. What are people saying? How do they feel about Anthony DiMaggio coming out and doing this podcast series right here in Basement Politics? A lot of people are upset about it. They wish he would go away. He's definitely making an impact. He's getting under some people's skin. I welcome anyone to come on the show and counter what he's saying. That's an open invitation. I give you a fair shake. It's up to you. If not, I'm Freddy Vazquez, folks. Thank you. Have a great night. You too. I appreciate it. But please join me for that, because that's getting hot. That's getting hotter and hotter. People are talking about it. He's saying a lot of things, that people don't want said, right? And so you got to watch. If you missed them, go back and check out the 7 episodes now. 7 hours of this interview series with Anthony DiMaggio, and people like it. It's getting a lot of views. Shout out to the police officer, Yonkers police officer, that yelled out my name as he was passing by. He was in an unmarked car. Yo, I'd rather have that relationship with you guys. I don't ever want to be in jail. I don't want to get arrested. That's where I want to stand with you guys. You know what I mean? I love my freedom. So shout out to you. I support you guys, YPD. And I support people who have issues with the Yonkers police also. Don't get it twisted. I do have your back, and I will say that publicly, okay? All right? Listen. No one's perfect. Nothing's perfect. Yeah. U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. Let's see what would happen. You think? I doubt it. Anyway, folks, I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics. Thank you for watching. Share the show. Shout out again to the Yonkers police officer who shouted me out. People just like screaming my name out the window as they drive by when they see. That's funny. Yeah, thank you guys. I love it though, man. Thanks for the support.
Freddy wins.
I am Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Shout out to the individual that came up to my wife, said that she likes the show, watches it. appreciates what I'm doing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I definitely really do appreciate that. That really means something to me. So, you know, those words really do impact me. I do. I take it to heart and I appreciate it. You know, so saying that is you know, it means all the world to me. Shout out to everyone who's been reaching out to me and sending messages saying that, you know, they're doing great. Keep doing your thing. The show is great. The show has gotten better, right? I'm trying. Listen, this is not it's not my arena, right? I never want to be a podcaster, man. I was in the boring insurance business, okay? And I'm still in. But thank you for saying that. You know, listen, I take all your suggestion, advice, and recommendations and everything else. You know, I'm always listening, taking in what you guys are saying. But thank you for saying that. Let me know where, you know, the show has gotten, you know, how much I've improved and stuff like that, how much it's progressed. I appreciate it. Thank you, folks. Have a beautiful, blessed night. Tomorrow is Friday. Isn't that great?
Freddy wins.
Friday, the 14th. Freddy. 1, 2. Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4. Could you believe they asked me about that? I put that song up on the page and they said, what is that? You threatening people? No, I am not threatening people, man. It's Freddy Krueger from a movie. Stop the music. I forgot. I do want to say this. I want to apologize publicly to Maria Santabello from the building department. And no one put me up to this. They didn't. No one will ever make me apologize to anyone. So if I'm apologizing to you, it's because I am sincerely apologetic. I am. I truly am. And I apologize. You know, it's been a little hectic for us. You know, 2 years, literally 2 years. Next month will be 2 years that we have started this business and we have yet to be fully operational. We are unable to collect on some past due, you know, bills because, you know, people have subsidies and, you know, we have to get everything squared away before the state will pay us. And we have not, you know, put pressure on the people at all. They actually come to us and apologize. We say, don't worry about it. We'll work it out. You know, we're not going to put that on them. You know, but I want to say, you know, please accept my apology. You know, I was a little bit upset, you know, and you know, my wife and I, you know, this has been a long, you know, ordeal. A lot of money has been spent. I mean, I'm not talking about $10,000, $20,000. Okay. That's a lot of money too, but I'm talking about a lot more money than that. And I haven't made a profit. Okay. So, you know, but I think that, you know, we got into a place where, you know what I mean? So I want to, you know, say I apologize to you. You know, please accept my apology. You have been helpful. Thank you very much for everything that you did do for me and my wife and helping us get this squared away. You were there, you know, back and forth. So I want to say publicly because that's who I am. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not going to, you know, I don't hide from nothing. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I will apologize and I will do it publicly. I don't care. We all wrong at times, you know, but most of the times I'm right. I gotta say, most of the times I'm right. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. No, but thank you for everything. I appreciate it, Maria. Thank you so much. You have been great. And it really, you know, if it came off like it was towards you, then I really apologize for that also because it wasn't towards you. It really wasn't. It was to other people, but because you were the, you know, the person that we were in contact with, you know, the liaison, so to speak, you know, I know that it had to kind of filtered through you, right? And so you caught that brunt. And so shame on you, Sam. Shame on you for letting Maria catch that. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, guys. Just kidding. But Maria, yeah, I truly am sorry. So I apologize. So again, it wasn't for you, but I do apologize. All right. So have a blessed weekend, Maria. You know, thank you for everything. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics, where we apologize when we're wrong. We're out of here.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddy Vazquez.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddy Vazquez.
Freddy wins.
I was raised in housing. I don't think you.
In another one, Mr. Rumo lied to me, and I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
Yeah. Just a product of my environment, you know.
5 minutes from the BX. Whole team seeing checks. Hood now with we next. I'm from Yonkers. Home of Mary X on blocks in 06. OBG taking somebody's spot. I'm from Yonkers. Come on, hat. We can make it happen. Hop in your whip. We 15 minutes from Manhattan. I'm from Yonkers. And all the other bros know we real. Now on 4, exit 5 for the soul.